Okay, so we are officially recording. Welcome to A Taste of Israel. I'm so excited to be teaching this class. I just came back from Israel and it was so much fun, and I ate a lot of really yummy food there. And a lot of these things are things that I ate there. The first thing that we're going to be making is the pudding, which is actually, I had some of it, but it's a prepackaged pudding that you can buy in the store, and it's pudding with whipped cream on top. What's better? And then I was eating it there at a friend's house, and I was like, I need to recreate this. So I tested some recipes in my kitchen, and I did it, and it's really good and super simple, and I can't wait to share it with you. We'll also be making some Shakshuka and a crunchy chickpea salad and crispy cauliflower. So like all these yummy things. So I'm not a person that eats so much dairy, but the dairy products in Israel are really, really great. So I was inspired to make pudding with dairy milk. But if you are lactose intolerant, you can definitely do this with another milk because the starch will help it thicken. That's what helps it become the pudding. Hi. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the starch. So if you're working with cornstarch, you can probably get away, I would say a fourth cup is good for the cornstarch. So my heat is off. We're not turning the heat on. I will specify when we're turning the heat on. So I have my saucepan, it's empty, my heat's off. And we're going to put the starch in the pot. So I'm going to use a little less than a quarter cup. I'll do like 3 tablespoons. And if you're using cornstarch, you can put closer to 4 tablespoons because I think it will be better. So 1, 2, 3. And I'll do like 3.5-ish. Okay, so 3.5 tablespoons of arrowroot starch. We're using cornstarch. 4 tablespoons, which is the same thing as a quarter cup. And then 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt you're gonna add. My heat is still off. I'm just gonna use a pinch, but you can measure if you'd like. And then we're gonna add the sugar. So I actually don't have date syrup, which is Ceylon, which is very popular in Israel to sweeten savory things, but I wanted to use it in a sweet dish because it also gives it another depth of flavor. But I have coconut sugar with me, so I'm going to use that. And I'm using, the recipe calls for 1/2 cup, but I like my desserts a little bit less sweet, and I'm going to sweeten the whipped cream. So I'm using a quarter cup, and we're also adding chocolate chips. So I've made this before. I know the sweetness level. If you want it more, it's not too sweet if you put a full 1/2 cup of sugar. So if you're using coconut sugar, you can put a 1/2 cup. It will be delicious. But I'm just adding a little bit less. And you can play with it as you make it again. So the first time I make a recipe, I usually use the full amounts from a recipe that I find online, and I obviously mix things together, and then I adjust it as I go along. So you guys will get to know what it is that you like in your pudding. So we have all the powders together, right? And I have my little whisk, and I'm just gonna whisk them together so they're all incorporated. And this, I just want them to get nice and mixed before I add the milk. So what I'm doing is I'm adding the milk and making sure it's all mixed together before I turn the heat on. So I'm adding a little bit of milk at a time. And just mixing it together. And it helps if you have a friend, because your friend can pour as you mix.
Adding?
Yeah.
How much milk are we adding?
3 cups altogether.
3 cups altogether?
But I'm doing a little bit at a time. So mine is pre-measured in here, so you can measure it. So 3 cups of milk. Sorry about that. So that is looking like it is becoming more incorporated. because you want all the powder to dissolve, because if you turn the heat on, it will thicken really quickly into clumps, and you don't want it to be clumpy. I mean, I'm sure it'll still taste delicious, but, you know, for aesthetics. All right, and I'm gonna go ahead, since most of the powder is dissolved, I'm gonna go ahead and add the rest of the milk. I love these glass milk jars. I'm gonna tell you a little secret. My milk wasn't in the jar. I did buy milk that was in this jar, jug, but I finished it. And then I bought milk in a carton, and but I put it in here because I thought it looked prettier. I think the flash reflects on the screen. I'll see if I can ditch that. Yeah, it's okay. So sorry if you're getting blinded. And so for those of you who are watching the recording, if I'm moving too quickly, you can obviously pause and rewind. And those of you who are here live, just feel free to interrupt me, unmute yourself, and I'll answer your question. So now I have everything mixed in my saucepan. So I'm going to turn the heat on medium low. So relatively low. And my burner gets really hot, so I'm going to turn it on extra medium low. So I would say if you have like numbers on your burner, probably like 4 or 3, depending on what kind of stove you have. And just keep on whisking it. And we're going to whisk for about 10 minutes, but we don't have to keep whisking the whole time, but just keep an eye on it. So I'm going to multitask right now and get started on the cream. So I have a 8-ounce carton of whipping cream. And if you are making non-dairy cream, then you will have a can of coconut milk, and you will reserve the top part of it, put it in the fridge for like a few seconds. I should have told you to do that earlier, but probably like 5 minutes. If it's cold enough, where most of us are, that you could probably get away with just using the white part of the cream, not the liquid part. If you put it in the fridge, it will separate, and then you can use the cream part and do the same thing that I'm doing. It won't be as airy. It'll be a little thicker, the cream, if you're doing it with the coconut milk from the can, but it's still very, very tasty. But again, I have a newfound love for dairy since being in Israel, so I'm going the dairy route. So I'm just gonna grab a bowl. It's better if you have a metal bowl, but I don't. I mean, I do, but I used it for something else. But it'll still be okay because I'm using this bowl. And I'm just gonna open my whipping cream, and have your little hand mixer handy. Opening milk cartons has always been an issue for me. I don't know why. We used to have snack at school where they would give us milk, and I'd always have to like have someone help me open it. But I don't know what they give out. It's for snack at school anymore. It's milk. They're all about milk. Okay. So that was my oven. That's saying I'm ready. We're not going to use it for a while, so maybe it was a premature preheating, but I like to have things ready. So I just emptied the heavy cream into a bowl, and if you're using the non-dairy coconut cream, just do the top part of the can and empty that into the bowl. And what we're going to do is we're going to start whipping it. So this is my lovely hand mixer. It's brand new. I just took it out of the box. My friend is letting me borrow it. I didn't have one. It's on my Nona to get list. And just keep an eye on the pudding. Just keep whisking it. We didn't add the chocolate in, so it's still looking pretty pale. I'm going to turn on my hand mixer now. And ooh, I guess I have to. Okay, so I have to crank up the heat here. So we're gonna mix a little bit until it gets light and foamy. I didn't add anything in, I'm just whipping it. And maybe use a larger bowl than I'm using. But if not, it's okay. All right. So that's light and foamy. Okay, so now I'm gonna turn it off. So you see how it's foamy? Can you show?
Mm-hmm.
Light and foamy. Oops, see.
Hard to tell, but it's light and foamy.
Looks like the top of the ocean, you know, right after waves crash, and then like it gets pretty foamy. So at this point, I'm going to add some honey. I'm going to use honey. You can use either maple syrup if you have it on hand, if you don't have honey. But I'm going to use about 2 tablespoons of honey. Oh, just put that in. And this is so easy. Also, if you have a Vitamix, you can put this in a Vitamix, and it just turns into whipped cream. It's pretty cool. So I have my 2 tablespoons of honey, and then about half a tablespoon of vanilla. I mean, a teaspoon, sorry, half a teaspoon of vanilla. And I'm just eyeballing it. There we go. Because I don't want to dirty another spoon. This is how I cook. I conserve equipment because I don't like washing dishes. So I've learned to eyeball things. And now, I'm going to lift my fingers. I'm going to actually walk with them because then it's going to get very sticky. Oh, thank you. And, okay, we're going to go back in with the mixer so we mix everything in. So then we're going to crank it up. Slowly crank it up like you're on a treadmill. Splashing everywhere. Luckily, my table's light, so you can't see. My mom would have a fit. So we're on the high speed. Sorry. It's all going to the same place. Getting there. I'm going to do a double whisk. So be sure you mixing around your pudding that's in there because you don't want it to get clumpy on the bottom. All right, what do we think? Looking great. Looking great. This is impressive. I must say, I'm impressed with myself right now. Doing the double whisk. I think that is sufficient. What do you think? Okay. So my whipped cream is done. I'll show you what it looks like in a sec. Okay. So sticking to my beaters, and I get to lick this one. Mm-hmm. Very good.
Delish.
So easy. Mm-hmm. Appetizer. Sorry, guys. Okay. I'm going to clean this off and give your pants a wipe. When my pants a wipe. My clothing enjoyed it too. I should have worn an apron, but it's okay. Everything's dark, so it doesn't matter. And there's a little heavy cream everywhere. Never hurt anyone.
Never.
And so I'm just gonna keep whisking this. I can already feel that there's like it's getting thicker. So I'm just gonna work to get the lumps out. So you just keep whisking it. And I might lower my heat a little bit, so. But I think it's actually okay. So.
Should I be worried if my pudding's not getting thicker?
It's not, I can feel it getting thicker. It's still pretty liquidy.
Okay.
It's not, it'll be like about 10 minutes from when we started.
Okay.
Did you use cornstarch or arrowroot starch?
Cornstarch, 1/4 of a cup.
Okay, yeah. Just keep whisking it. Does it feel like it's getting thicker when you're whisking it?
Maybe a tiny bit.
Yeah. It's a tiny bit. Like it's not quite like milk consistency anymore.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I'll keep that out so I can plate it. So, in Israel, they also have this thing that is called Shuk, which means chocolate milk in a bag. And I love chocolate milk. And when I used to go, I used to always, oh my God, this really hurts my arm. I mean, not hurts, but I'm really feeling it in my like
Workout.
bicep, my deltoid muscle. So I had a sous chef the first time I was testing it, so they were doing the mixing, and so I didn't feel the burn quite as much. And I think your thing's enough. So I think I'll probably whisk it for another 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. So we're just staying here with our pudding. It's getting slightly thicker, not too much. Because also it's going to set in the refrigerator and be like much thicker. So I'm just going to set a timer for like 4 more minutes so we know exactly where we're at.
Gab, do we refrigerate the whipped cream when it's done?
Yes, you can refrigerate it. I'm leaving mine out for now because I'm gonna, yeah, I guess you can refrigerate it. I was thinking to put it on top of the pudding once I transfer the pudding, but you can do whatever you want. So if you want to add it once it sets, then that's cool too. So either way, it doesn't matter. So 4 minutes on the clock, and that's gonna go soon. So okay, so mine's getting, I'm actually going to, so now we have 4 minutes. I'm gonna add the chocolate chips in. Ooh, mine's starting to, and you wanna add them slowly so you don't splash yourself. And then they will hopefully all melt soon, and you have a lovely chocolate pudding. So I made this a few days ago, and it didn't last more than 24 hours in my house.
Gabby?
Yeah?
How many chocolate chips? Sorry.
Oh, 2/3 of a cup, sorry.
Okay, yeah, just tell us the amounts because I'm slow.
No, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay.
2/3 of a
I
cup.
forget, like I memorized them and I sent you guys the recipes, but it's good. So my heat is very hot right now. So I'm gonna turn it off because this is like specific to my burner. It just gets very, very hot. And but keep stirring the chocolate in, and it will look like a chocolate pudding. I'll come around and show you. So it's a beautiful chocolate bubbly thing. And then to this, we will be adding, once your chocolate's melted, you can turn the heat off and stir for like 1 more minute. And then we'll add a tablespoon of vanilla. Okay? A teaspoon, sorry. Oh my goodness, a teaspoon of vanilla. I mean, a tablespoon would probably be good too, but I'm gonna give you the right amount. Okay. And then that's going in. And now that we're off the heat, so we are ready, or should be ready. Once everything's mixed in, it should be a little bit thicker. I think with arrowroot starch, it thickens much faster. Cornstarch may need to set a little bit longer. And I have these cute little bowls that I'm gonna put the pudding in. And I think, I'm thinking about how to do this without making a mess. Maybe, should I pour it in or spoon it in? And I think I'm getting a ladle.
Gosh, I have an idea.
Oh, do you have a funnel or something?
Oh.
No. Stand by for the pudding transport.
Pour it in here and pour it in there.
Okay, that could work. Oh yeah, the other ones are taken. So I'm gonna pour mine into this and then we'll pour it. I don't normally like doing things like this because now I'm making another thing dirty, but for the sake of cleanliness. So I'm gonna just fill my bowls and then they're gonna go into the refrigerator. And if you're someone who doesn't like pudding skin, then put saran wrap directly on top of these so that it's touching the pudding. I don't mind pudding skin. Also, whipped cream's going on top of this, so it'll cover up the pudding skin. And that's our 4-minute timer. So that means that pudding's done. But all right, so I'm just gonna put these in and they're gonna go in the fridge so this takes about like 2-ish hours to set, but mine's pretty thick already. And by the time you finish eating and have dinner, it should be good. And Milky pudding, for the record, is a little bit runny. Some people don't like it, but I really like it. So if it hasn't fully set and you want to eat it, that's cool too. Because it'll still taste really good. There are no rules. And okay, my last pudding cup. And I have more pudding that will be transferred away. But in the meantime, I just made 6 little cute things. And the rest is going to go in the refrigerator. You can put them in ramekins, any bowls that you like. You can make 1 big bowl of pudding and put 1 mound of whipped cream on top and then just dig into it whenever you want. I like having little self-serve sizes. And that way you can have like a little treat every time you come in. My grandma used to make rice pudding for us when I was little, and she would all have like these cute containers that they would go in. And I really, really love them. And then, so now our pudding's done. We made dessert, which is awesome. It's not often that I start with dessert, even when I'm cooking for myself. I don't know why. I like think in order of a meal, but this one in particular needs time in the refrigerator to get cold. I'm sure it'd be delicious even hot. But it is a very yummy treat, and I'm very excited to hear about how you guys like it. Next up, we are going to make the chickpeas. So I already washed and drained my chickpeas, so go ahead, open a can of chickpeas, wash them, drain them, and then we're going to be using, you can use the same pan. So I said, have a pan ready because we're gonna make shakshuka. I'm using this pan for the chickpeas. I'm gonna use a different pan for this shakshuka, but you can use the same pan for both because we're gonna basically make chickpea crunchy croutons kind of thing. And then those are gonna go on top of the salad. So they're not staying in here. The shakshuka is gonna live in whatever vessel you're making it in. So you feel free to use one pan because we're also using a lot of the same spices. So I have 1 can of chickpeas. I think it's like a 16-ounce can, like the normal, like small cans. I washed them, I drained them. I'm going to add about a tablespoon of olive oil to my pan. And turn it on medium heat. You might, depending on your heat, you might have to go a little higher, a little lower. We want them to get nice and toasty. So I'm gonna go ahead and add the chickpeas in. And to this, I'm going to add, so I didn't give exact measurements for the spices because I just do like a few shakes. So I have smoked paprika here, and I think if you want to measure, you can use about 1/2 teaspoon of paprika and 1/2 teaspoon of cumin. I'm just shaking my way to some happiness. So cumin, for some reason, if anyone has a secret for an easier way to get it out of the shaker, I'm all ears because it gets really sticky. Ooh, I have everything everywhere. So my pan is already like screaming hot. I can hear it, and you guys can probably hear it too. So I'm gonna lower it. You do want it hot enough. Probably like 5 or 6, maybe a 7, depending on what kind of heat you want. And so this takes actually like quite a bit of time for them to get like really crispy. So I added paprika and cumin, and then I'm gonna add a little bit of cayenne just so we have a little bit of heat. A pinch because it's really hot, or 1/8 teaspoon if you want to measure. You can also make it spicier if you really like spicy food. I didn't add salt yet, but I will add also about a pinch of salt. 1/4 teaspoon, 2 pinches of salt.
Gab, how high is your heat on your stove?
My heat is like medium. I would say like 6. Do you have numbers on your stove? Like a little past like the middle. And we're gonna cook these until they get crispy. So the skin will like crisp up and kind of fall off. They make these kinds of chips. You can buy them in the store now, but they're way better when you homemade them. You could also do this in the oven and broil them. But the reason I like it here is because then this oil that you cook it in will serve also as part of the dressing for the salad that we're gonna make. So I'm gonna move this over so you can see what I'm gonna do. I already pre-chopped some cherry tomatoes and some cucumbers. I unfortunately could not get my hands on Persian cucumbers, so I had to use Kirby's. So they're chopped not as small as I like them, but it's okay. And because I do a different thing every time. And my cherry tomatoes, these are like heirloom cherry tomatoes, and I chopped them. I'll show you what I did because I have some more to chop actually. I'm just adding those to the cucumbers. And another known hack is that I always have a garbage bowl handy because I don't like a mess in my kitchen, but even though sometimes I tend to make a mess. So I'm going to just peel my other cucumber because this skin is kind of, the reason I like the Persian cucumbers is because the skin is really tasty. This skin I don't love so much. It's a little thicker. And this is like, hopefully that's the third accident I have today, because my mom says that accidents come in 3, and I fell off a chair earlier and I hit my elbow. So hopefully that's the end of it, and we'll get through this class nice and safely. So I see that my chickpeas are getting a little bit starchy, so I'm gonna lower the heat. The skins are getting crispy. This burner particularly is very, very hot. So if you see that it's getting too hot, you can lower it. So I'm gonna do that with mine. And I'm gonna peel this cucumber and chop it so that it's small for my salad. I have some friends coming over for dinner afterwards, so they will have the benefits of this lovely meal. So making an extra big salad to feed the crowd. And so that skin is chopped, and I'm just gonna cut it in 3 long ways, and then in 3 the other way. That's what I'm doing. And then I'm just gonna chop it as small as I can. My mom is a master salad chopper. I don't know how she does it. I don't know where she learned it. I think in school. And I haven't gotten to that level, but I made a salad for a girl that I babysit for, and she was very impressed. So that was a huge win in my book. She was like, how did you get everything so small? I can fit one of everything in my mouth. I was like, yeah, that's the goal. Chopped salad. That's the point of a chopped salad. So this one I'm actually cut into. I think I'm getting it smaller. Maybe with practice, they'll get smaller and smaller. And for chopping tomatoes, I don't usually use a knife like this. I use a serrated knife. I'll show you my serrated knife in a second. Because the tomato skin sometimes is hard to pierce, and you can like hurt yourself. They're very slippery, so serrated knife helps with that because you can just hack away at it. This is getting nice and crispy. And I think we're almost done. I'm gonna put this on super low. No. Okay, I'll turn it off because mine's getting super crispy. I'll show you what it looks like. They look like this. So they're like kind of crisp. The shells are falling off, like the skin part is falling off, and some stuff is sticking to the bottom. So I'm just gonna turn it off and leave it on the stove because it's still very hot over here. So I'm going to be using my serrated knife, which is right here, my little knife, and okay, so I'm just gonna keep chopping and get these tomatoes. So I'm cutting them in half and then in half again. Chickpeas are on stove. Tomatoes and cucumbers are being chopped into the bowl. That's where we're at right now. So I'm just chopping them small because I have cherry tomatoes, and I'll cut them into quarters. And you can cut them even smaller if you'd like. And these are doing well. So if you want, you can put them in a separate bowl and top the salad with them afterwards. But I'm leaving mine in here because they're still warm, and it's kind of nice to have them warm on the salad. And it gives for a crunchy croissant. I'm gonna actually taste one just to see how they are. They're pretty good. Actually, I'm gonna turn my heat on and crisp them a little more. Well, I think I put a little more than a pinch of cayenne, which always happens. I have a heavy hand sometimes with spice. I really, really like it, but it doesn't like me so much. So I have a few more tomatoes to chop. And if you have a serrated knife, like I said, it makes it much easier. But chopping tomatoes can be a little time consuming. Or if you have the bigger tomatoes, it makes it much, much easier too. Because these small ones are easier to chop with the non-serrated knife. I'm thinking if I should, I'll just chop all of them because I have a big crowd coming. Not that big. I'm making myself sound cooler than I am. 2 friends. And the rest of these I'll chop. So I don't know if you guys ever saw these in a bag. The chickpeas, they have the snacks all over. So you can do this with any kind of flavor profile. I just gave you one that was cumin, paprika, and cayenne with olive oil and salt, obviously. But you can just do plain sea salt. You can add lemon. There will be lemon in the salad. And you can add so many things. Greek seasoning, you could do Italian herbs, fresh or dry. Make your own chickpea snacks. They're so fun. Or they're just also a great alternative for croutons if you like croutons and for some reason don't put actual bread croutons. If you're gluten intolerant or just, want something else. And it's a great way to get extra protein into your salads. So many fun things.
Win-win.
Win-win-win. Everyone's happy. All right. So these little suckers I'm almost done with. So if you're done chopping the tomatoes and the cucumbers, you can start on your shallot, which I will do next. But I have a few more tomatoes to go. And the shallot, if you don't have a shallot, you can always use red onion. But the reason I like shallots is it's not really, I don't know, it's a funny reason, but I like that they're small and you can use one in one recipe as opposed to half a red onion because I don't like having pieces of onion in my fridge. I don't know why. And also shallots are a little bit more mild. They taste better to me when they're raw than a red onion. They're a little bit less harsh. So I'm getting down to my last 2 cherry tomatoes. And then I will show you how I'm going to chop my shallot. So I'm going to go back to my chef knife. And for the shallot, I have this beautiful little shallot. You can see. I'm just going to cut it in half long ways, I guess you would say. So from here to here, this way. And take the skin, the outer layer of skin off. And throw it into my garbage bowl. Let me cut this top right off. Peel back the skin. All right, now I'm really turning my chickpeas off. I see the skin coming off. So you want them to be nice and crisp, and the skin, you'll have pieces of chickpea skin floating around in the pan. The spices on the bottom will have created a little coating. I'll have Jesse want to show them a close up of what it looks like, and you can take a look. So they're a little crispy and flaky. And they're soft on the inside. They're not going to be rock hard like those chips that you buy in the store because we didn't dry them out. If you wanted to do that, you can achieve that by putting them in the oven on like a very low heat, and that will for probably, I'm saying right now, like this is a guess, 2 hours at 200 degrees. You can get those like really hard chickpeas. So I'm gonna cut my shallot really thinly. I just cut a few slices long ways, and now, but keeping the end bulb together. And now I'm going the opposite way, so horizontally, kind of horizontally to get little bits of shallot. Just cutting the rest of it. But if you, everyone cuts onions in their own way. I saw someone cutting an onion in a very interesting way. Like they would cut a slice and then chop it small, and then cut another slice and chop it small. So everyone does what works for them. But I do it this way. So just incisions the long way of the onion, but not all the way to the end. So this part is together, and then we're gonna cut thinly in the horizontal direction, thin slices in the horizontal direction. And you get little cubes, or whatever you call them. So these are gonna go straight into here. So this is a very simple salad. It's like a spin on Israeli salad. Israeli salad is just some red onion, tomato, cucumber, and sometimes it's even just tomato, cucumber. I like to add a lot of parsley, which is what we're going to chop next. So I'm gonna actually chop a bunch because it's going to be used in a number of recipes. So we're gonna use it to garnish the cauliflower, we're going to use it to garnish the shakshuka, and it's going to be in the salad. So since we're not having any form of lettuce in the salad, I really will use a lot of it. If you want lettuce in the salad, you can obviously add romaine to it. Arugula would be really nice too. Any greens. So, and you can just add a little bit more. Ooh, now I'm feeling the repercussions of the onion. I was like, yes, I'm not crying. But now, I don't know, I just got a whiff of something. That's very interesting. Delayed response eyes. So I have, this was just one bunch. This and this was one bunch of parsley. So I'm gonna chop about half this bunch, but in some grocery stores, this will be a bunch of parsley. So I would just chop, you can just chop the whole thing. And what I'm gonna do is with parsley and cilantro also, not everyone likes cilantro, not everyone likes parsley, but you can actually eat the whole thing. So you don't have to worry about the stems. I'm just gonna go for it and then chop it very roughly. So big knife strokes, and I don't want to get too much of it. I don't particularly love the stems so much. They don't actually taste that different, but I don't know. I just don't like the way they look as much. The leaves are what I like. So I chop as much as I can with just the leaves, and then when I get to the bottom part, I can just pick them off and throw the big parts of the stem. I don't mind the smaller parts. If you want, what you can do, and this is probably what I should do, but I'm already putting them in my garbage bowl, is you can save the stems and make stock with it. You can save a lot of the stuff that you put in your garbage bowl and make chicken stock or vegetable stock or beef stock, whatever stock you want, fill in the blank stock. And then when you want to make it, you have everything already and you don't have to use other vegetables. So I'm just getting everything off the stems as best as I can, but like there are already some stems in there, so it's fine, but I'm just being extra meticulous. And this is a big bunch of parsley. I want to use as much of it as I can because I have a whole other bunch in the fridge waiting for me. But I'm not really worried. I put it on everything, really everything. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks. So good. It's also really good for fresh breath and for digestion. Fun facts. Make parsley tea. My mom one time bought me parsley tea. because I wasn't feeling well. I think it worked. I like to believe it did. And okay, so I'm just getting these last bits off, and then I'll run my knife through this whole thing again, just so it's nice and chopped. And I might have to chop some more eventually, but I'm just doing a good amount now. So we have it for the shakshuka, so we have it for the cauliflower. And we'll be moving on to the cauliflower next. So if you haven't already, preheat your oven to 425, and the cauliflower will go in shortly because we are almost done with this salad. So I have all my parsley bits here, and I'm going to run my knife again through it. Big knife strokes. This isn't going to be a small chop. Maybe when I drizzle it, when I garnish the cauliflower, sorry, had a brain delay. When we garnish the cauliflower, maybe if you want, you can chop it a little bit smaller, but that just depends on what you want. Just trying to get as many leaves cut once or twice through, and they're pretty. Here, these ones are full. Get those. Okay, great. So my leaves are, they're pretty big. Like this one's half a leaf. I'm just gonna move this over. I'll take one handful, and if you want to measure, maybe you can do like quarter cup. It's more than a quarter cup for me, but I'm just throwing it on top. And then, I probably will need to chop more parsley, but I really love it. I can't get enough. And then the rest of this I'm going to reserve for later. Yeah. You know what? Maybe I'll chop some more now, just really quickly, and that way I don't have to do it later. This will go faster because it's a little less. And what I do is I like line up so like all the stem parts are like when it's a little bit less. So then I just cut this part off, and then like I line up all the leafy parts. And then if there's a little bit of the skinny stems, it doesn't bother me so much. And then I just do this. It's more manageable when you have less on the cutting board, and you don't have to be like whack-a-mole, like trying to get every part of it. But it's okay. I like both ways are fun for me. All right, so this is gonna go in a separate bowl. We're gonna use it for garnish later. And I am officially done chopping for the salad. Oh, and we can put, so either you can put the chickpeas on salad now. I'm gonna just do that to save time. And you wanna scrape, so I'm scraping all of the good bits off from the bottom. Actually, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna squeeze some lemon over it. And so it helps the acid. I mean, it's not that hot the pan anymore, but it'll help deglaze the pan a little bit. So I'm just squeezing some lemon over. And then we'll dress the salad when we're ready, right before you're ready to eat. You'll dress the salad with a little bit more salt, lemon juice, and olive oil. So now all the good flavor bits are scraped off the bottom, and I'm gonna pour it over. And you have your crispy chickpea salad. Voila. Oops. Voila. I'm not gonna toss it yet because I'll toss it once we dress it, but I'm gonna move it to the side for now. And I'll put it right here. And then we'll move on to the cauliflower. So I have a smallish head of cauliflower, and I just took it out of the plastic, didn't chop it yet. And we're gonna chop it into small florets. I'll show you. This is my baking sheet. I didn't put any oil down on it. You can if you want. Mine doesn't stick, it's pretty seasoned. And I'm gonna cut the bottom of the cauliflower off this part. I just kind of like make a few incisions so that this, I don't even know what to call it. I guess the stalk comes out, and I make a few, eventually it'll come out. Good enough. And then I remove these little leafy parts. And then I pull it apart with my hand so that you get like the bigger parts, because I like, I don't know, then you get, I like maintaining as much as I can the like structure of the cauliflower. Like I don't like cutting into it, but then sometimes you have to, and I have a bit more of the stock here, so I'm just gonna get rid of it. And you can roast this too. You don't need to get rid of it, but I'm just for floret purposes and breaking apart purposes. So I'm just breaking it apart with my hand, and then it gets smaller as you get to the middle, they get cuter. Oops, lost one. And then when you get to here, you can just cut with your knife to make some incisions. And we're gonna want to end up with cauliflower that is about this size to go on our baking sheet. And like this is good too. This is fine too. This is a little bit bigger, but we don't want like the gargantuan ones because it won't roast that well. And we want to have an even roasting. So you want, as best you can, have them be around the same size to allow for an even roasting. And so in Israel, this is also like super famous. Almost every restaurant you go to, they have, they usually fry it, and it's really good fried because everything is good fried. But this is a way to have it crispy and avoid deep frying. It's hard to fry in a small kitchen. You know, it makes the kitchen smell, and I don't know. This is way easier and less cleanup involved with the pans and everything. So I'm just finishing up chopping this. I really like pulling it apart with my hands, but there's a point you get to where you can't really do that. I think somebody can cut more too. This one. But cauliflower is one of my favorite things to eat. It's one of my favorite vegetables. And today I found some romanesco. It's the green cauliflower that's spirally, and it's so, I just really like it. So I got very excited and I bought one. But we're doing regular cauliflower for this. Oops, one got lost. And then what we're gonna do is, you can do this in a bowl, but I, again, don't want to dirty too many dishes. But then we're going to drizzle a tablespoon of olive oil over it. But you don't have to measure. You can just do a light drizzle so everything is covered for the most part, because then we're going to mix it around. And same thing, we're going to use similar spices, a pinch of salt, so about 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, and just sprinkle over with your hands. So your hands are going to get a little dirty. And then we're going to shake some cumin, probably, you don't need to use that much, just like a few shakes, because we have cumin in a lot of other dishes. And then a little shake of paprika too, just to get some color. So really, really small amounts, because the cauliflower is going to taste so good anyway, and we have this tahini drizzle over it, so just to color it up. And then a few grinds of black pepper. That is it. This is it. This is the cauliflower. And then just mix it around so that the oil incorporates it, and kind of coats everything. If you feel like you need a little bit more olive oil, you can put some on. You can also use coconut oil, but I wanted to stick with olive oil. I usually make everything with coconut oil for the most part because it's my fat of choice, but with this meal, I just thought it would go better with the flavor profile. I'm gonna actually add a little bit more olive oil. So that's the thing, I don't measure. I think a tablespoon would have been plenty, which I think now I have achieved with my second drizzle. So just get your hands dirty and mix it around, and then just arrange it so that each one is kind of like has its space to roast. And then you can dry off your hands, rinse off your hands before you put it in the oven. So our ovens are on 425. We are going to put it in the oven for 20 minutes. So I'm going to give my hands a quick rinse, and then I will be right with you. So that's what my cauliflower looks like. Okay. So everyone, wash your hands. Put your cauliflower in the oven, and we can regroup in 2 minutes. And also, depending on your oven, so I have a electric oven. Most of the ovens in New York are gas ovens, which are much hotter and get heated up much faster. So just keep an eye on it. We'll check on it maybe in like 10 minutes and see what's going on there. So we made our salad, we made our dessert, we made the cauliflower. Now we just need to make the shakshuka. So I did not used to like eggs, but now I eat them sometimes, multiple times a day. Today will be one of them. And it's funny because in Israel, people don't really eat such big dinners. Like dinner is an omelet, eggs, shakshuka. It's like a typical dinner. But here in the US, we're like, what? You're eating eggs for dinner? Yes. So today we're eating eggs for dinner. And I got some really yummy pita bread from Falafel Tainim with za'atar on it that I can't wait to eat it with. I love pita. But it's great. You can have it. You can also have it with rice. You can have it. I mean, this meal is fun. You can have it with this meal without pita. But I am a huge breadhead, so I got some pita to accompany it. I wasn't going to try and make it because I knew that I can't compete with the pita kings. So if you want to use it, you can use the same pan as you did for the chickpeas. You can bring that back out. I'm going to use a different pan because I want to use my cast iron because it retains the heat better. And I just planned for 2 pans. I know it's not really like me. So I'm going to bring my cast iron up here, and I'm not turning it on yet, but you can add a tablespoon of olive oil to that. And then we're going to start with chopping an onion. So I have this huge onion, and I'm going to be doing something that I just told you that I didn't like doing, leaving a chunk of it in my fridge. So I'm only going to use half of it. So if you haven't, this is really big. 1 small onion will suffice. So I'll use the bigger half. And we'll do the same thing as we did with the shallot. So I'm cutting the top off, peeling the skin back. So I cut it in half long ways, cut this top chook cheek thing off, and peeling the skin back. And then, is that the bigger half or is this the bigger half? I don't even know. And we're peeling the skin back. And then we'll do the same thing when we're chopping it to get a nice dice. So you cut it this way and then this way. So here we go. Oh, I have some more onion skin on here. Get rid of that. And you can dice this. So before we continue, I'm just going to tell you something. I'm not planning on blending my shakshuka. If you want to blend your shakshuka and it'll be more of a tomato sauce, it'll be a tomato sauce, but mine will be a little bit chunky. If you don't like chunks and want to blend it, go for it. want to clean the blender. So I'm not blending it. We're having chunky shakshuka. And I think it's good, especially if you're like dipping bread in it or if you're pouring it on top of something. I don't know. It's nice to have the chunks. If you're eating it over rice. So I'm going to try and cut these onions as small as I can so that they melt in the pan. I think I'm doing a good job. And then I'll turn my pan on to medium low, so because I want them to caramelize. So those are going to go in to the pan, and then I have 2 poblano peppers. I think I'm just going to use one of them. So my heat is on, lowering it so that we are. So just to clarify, I'm using the same spoon as I did for the chickpeas. I didn't have to clean it. A lot of these spices are going back in here. So one less dish to wash. Yay. And then I'm just making sure that that's at the right heat. And then this will cook. Then we have poblano peppers. You can also use a jalapeno pepper. They're smaller, more spicy. This is a little bigger, less spicy. Some of them are really spicy. I'm not going to use the seeds because I'm sensitive to heat. Ooh, nice. Look at that.
Mm.
I'm just going to cut the seed part out. I think it'll come right now. Look at that. Came right out. That's so cool. It's never happened to me before. So I'm going to cut the pepper in half long ways and then make little tiny strips and then dice it. So they're really small. This is like moving. I think there's something under here. Phantom cutting board. It's almost Halloween, so maybe that's what's happening. Cutting board with a mind of its own. This is what happens when you cook like a mess. So I have these skinny little poblano strips, about the same width as my little like pinky, my little skinny pinkies. And then I'm gonna dice them a long way. So while I'm doing that, I'm just keeping an eye on my onions, making sure they're not getting too hot or too burnt. Mine look really good. They're starting to get translucent, which is good. That means they're like sweating out their juices, their onion juices. And we're just gonna let them go. And then these are gonna go straight in with them once we dice them. So just cut as small as you can. Oh my goodness, my mom will be so proud of me right now. Look at this. This is tiny. This is like smaller than a fingernail. I don't know if you can see. I'm gonna come show you. I'm very proud. Look at that. Teeny weeny. And it's already starting to smell good. Often when I would cook in college, my roommates would be like, oh my God, Gabby, what are you doing? What are you making? It smells amazing. And I was literally sauteing an onion. Everyone thinks you're like a gourmet chef when you, so it's just onion, garlic, the smell. If you like it, can't beat it. I happen to be a fan. So just gonna finish dicing these. Great. One little one that got away. Perfect. So my onions are getting a little bit more translucent. I'm adding the rest of this poblano in with it. My tiny diced poblano. So that today, I'm just warning you, today is the day you're going to get your hands dirty in the kitchen. And then, look, this part just came off the top. It's like a little, I don't want to get it too close to my eye because spicy. So get that last bit in. And then I have an extra poblano to do something else fun with. Maybe I don't know, tacos. I'll take suggestions. And also, if you don't like spicy at all, you can use a green bell pepper or no peppers at all. You don't need this. This would be totally fine without peppers. But it's nice to have a little bit of heat. So you can see up close what it looks like. So they're just getting nice and soft. And then I have already pre-measured out a tablespoon of paprika and a teaspoon of cumin. That's going to go in here. We're not going to add it in just yet, but if you want to pre-measure that before while these are cooking down. And then I also have some garlic cloves crushed. So what I'm going to do, I have 2 crushed, 1 not crushed. If you don't like too much garlic, you can go 1 clove. You can even do no cloves if you don't like, if you're not a garlic person. I like garlic, so I have my 1 clove, and I just want to show you how I open my cloves. I grated this garlic, so it's a very
Abby, how many teaspoons are in a tablespoon?
Oh, I don't know offhand. We can look it up. I think it's like teaspoons in a tablespoon. We're getting that answer for you.
Also, is there any tip for crushing garlic if you don't have one of those garlic crushers?
Yeah, I'm gonna show you now.
Amazing.
Yeah. So did you get the clove out? Did you get your 1 clove out, or however many cloves you're gonna use?
So like 3 teaspoons, Romy.
3 teaspoons is 1 tablespoon.
3 teaspoons. Thank you, Jess.
That's a good thing to remember. For some reason, I can always remember 4 tablespoons is a 4th cup, but I can't. So now I'll remember 3 teaspoons is 1 tablespoon. So if you have your clove of garlic out, the little clovey part, if it's still in the head, you could do the same thing to the head that I'm doing right now. So you would take your whole head of garlic, take your knife, your big knife, and then lay it on top of it, and then just put just like lean your weight into it, and then it'll go crunch underneath the weight of your hand. And then you can peel. So if you did that to your head, some garlic cloves will come out. Take as many as you want to use. I'm using, I use about 3. So this is the 3rd one. And then do the same thing to your garlic cloves. So you're going to put it on your cutting board, lay your knife on top of it, push your whole weight into it until you hear it go crunch. And then the skin will be very easy to come off. I think I crushed this one too hard.
Crushed so hard.
Crushed so hard. Starting to smell very yummy and peppery in here. So we're taking the skin off, which is relatively easy. And then I chop this little brown bit off at the end. And then this is a trick that my grandma taught me, but you slice it down the middle. Mine's already crushed. There's like I'll come closer to show you. There's like this little thing in the middle. It's that you're supposed to remove this because apparently it's bitter. I don't always do it because I'm kind of lazy, but you don't have to do it. I'm just showing you a hack. So this little bit in the middle, it's like the part that's like at the end here.
Like whitey-ish.
It's like, yeah, this is white. Sometimes it's green. If it's green, they say to remove it because it's kind of bitter. But I think if it's white, it's okay. So anyway, I'm just gonna, so with the garlic, what do? I make little slices if I don't want to use a crusher. Because I don't have a garlic press. And I also, if you have a microplane, like a zester or a grater, you can just grate it on that. But sometimes that really makes your hand smell like garlic. But I guess if you're dealing with it already, it's fine. And then I take my knife. So I made little slices. I take my knife, put my hand on top of the knife, and then I just
kind of run through it and follow it, like chase the garlic around the cutting board until I get it small enough, as small as I want it. And then I kind of gather it back up again and do the same thing. So it's like you just move it around. It's kind of fun. It's like a seesaw or something. Swinging game. It reminds me of a sundial. I don't know. I just saw a sundial in my garlic right here. So it's not as fine as a garlic press, but it's still fine enough. And because this is going to be a saucy thing, it's okay that it's just chopped. So I'm just chopping it. And then I'll add the rest of, so I'm just going to put that garlic straight in. And my heat right now is on medium low because this is really hot, but if yours, Or normal burners that are really
normal burners, I think it would be around like medium. It'll be around like 5.
Oh, medium high.
Yeah. This burner it's really great. My family's from Florida, and they just had well, not just, but I was away for a bit, but while I was away, Hurricane Irma hit, I think it was Irma, and my grandma was like, oh, we needed to get that thing that you have to do your classes because we're not going to be able to have any hot food because they lost power and they didn't have power for a few days. So they were upset. And so I've only added about a pinch of salt from the beginning. To this, I haven't really added salt yet. And I'm going to add the paprika and the cumin now. So just throw it in there. So 1 tablespoon paprika, 1 teaspoon of cumin, or 3 tablespoons of paprika, and 3 teaspoons of paprika. I'm tongue twisting myself. 3 teaspoons of paprika, 1 teaspoon of cumin, which equals 1 tablespoon. That's really cool. So I have now, go ahead and open your can of whole tomatoes. I like the whole tomatoes. I don't know why, they just are good. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna move this over. So get ready to get your hands a little bit dirty. My heat is on low now because I'm gonna add some of liquid to it and I don't want it to splash all over me. So that's out of this. I'm going to take out the tomatoes one by one and squish them in with my hand. You feel really cool doing this. Like I squeeze them. Like if you have any like pent up anything, great stress relief. Just make sure to not squish it all over your clothing and just like squish it as much as you can. Like you want to get it like as squishy as possible. So like get it to be as like little nothings. So that was 2 tomatoes. It's really fun. And then every time you do it, there's like a little like, yeah, applause in the pan. Like it feels like someone's giving you a cheering you on. Like, yeah, you did it. You got that guy. All right, so this one, I'm just like breaking it up as much as I can. Ooh, there's a lot of tomatoes in here. This one's really big. And then we're going to pour the rest of the sauce in as well. So we'll squeeze. Oh! That is what everywhere. Do it as close to your pan as you can. You know, I'm just going to use both my hands. It's fun. It's really fun. I like getting my hands dirty in the kitchen. And also, since we were just handling garlic, it'll probably help get the garlic off. Oh, hey, Erin. So we're just, I don't know where you're at, but I'm squeezing tomatoes into, I'm actually squeezing them all over the apartment. All over the apartment, but
Tomatoes for life.
Tomatoes for life, yeah. Well, I'll clean that. So it just breaks them apart. There's some, I guess the ones that aren't, okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna puncture them in the can because it's the ones that haven't fully, you know, if you ever put a tomato in the oven and you bite into it and it hasn't like exploded already a little bit, then like it explodes all over your face. So this is, if you like pre-puncture them, you can avoid that. So I have a few more.
Should we check on the cauliflower?
Yeah, so the cauliflower looks like it has 1 more minute, and maybe everyone give it a check and just see how it's going.
Sounds sizzling.
It sounds sizzly. And you want it to be a golden brown. You okay? Heat wave, yeah. Be careful when you open your oven. It can. How are they? They look brown.
Yeah.
So you want them to be a little brown and crisp. And then, okay, so my heat is still on over here, right? Oh no, it turned off. Why? Did it run out? Oh, that's annoying. So my hands are dirty now. I'm just gonna wipe them off.
How brown and crispy do you want them?
They look pretty good. So here, why don't we, I'll bring them out so you can see, because I'm going to suggest that you do what I do, which is I like to broil them so they get a little bit more crispy at the end. But right now they've achieved crispiness right now. So this is a good level of crisp. But I think broiling them for another 5 minutes in my oven will help. If you have a gas oven, really, really watch it. Maybe put a timer on for 2 minutes and check on it, because the gas ovens can get really, really hot. And oh my goodness, I'm just cleaning up all the tomato stuff. So wait, let me turn this back on. It got turned off, probably because I squirted some tomato juice onto it and it extinguished the fire. So, because this gas burner, I don't know what, I got it in Chinatown. It's amazing. It gets so hot. Just doing a final cleanup of that. So now I have my tomato squish in, and then I'm adding the rest of the sauce. And so it's coming to a little bit of a simmer. And you can break up the tomatoes a little bit further in the pan with your, what is this, a spoon, with your spoon. And we'll just mix it together so everything is incorporated. So it's still very saucy for me. It is, so I don't see the need to blend it, but I understand why people do. My mom blends it. And you can blend it and freeze it and use it another time. It's a great thing to make in bulk, and that way you can use Shakshuka anytime. People have it for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner. That's why I called it anytime I hear Shakshuka. I don't know about the anywhere part, because I don't know how easy it is to transport, but anytime for sure you can have it, because it's just such a great dish. So I'm gonna let it simmer for a little bit while we do that, and then we're really almost done with our meal. The only thing we have left to do is crack the eggs in. So what I do with the eggs is I'll crack them. You can go ahead and crack them into separate little bowls, or just one at a time. So you crack one egg at a time. I'm not going to add them in yet because I want this sauce to cook a little more. So I'm going to lower it to a simmer, and you guys can do the same. So we added everything that we needed in here, and then for garnish, you can garnish with parsley or feta. So we're not totally done with this, but I want to move on to the tahini while this simmers. So it's still on. It's on low. You can cover it if you'd like. I might do that. I'll cover it like partway. So I'll cover it partway, and then we'll have our tahini. So I have a 1/4 cup of tahini in here. So you can measure that out. It's just plain tahini by itself. And then we are going to use some lemon juice. So I have a fresh lemon here, and about like 3 teaspoons. So 1 tablespoon
or maybe 3 tablespoons. I think 3, hold on, let me check. No, 3 tablespoons. Okay, so yeah, because they would. So we're gonna, I'm not gonna measure. Maybe I will. I'll just fake measure like this. It's actually a good way to squeeze the lemon into the tablespoon, because then you can catch any seeds. I'm always a seed dropper. Did I just drop one in? I just dropped one in. Ugh. See, this is what happens. You don't want to use certain things in your kitchen, and then I'd rather get my hands dirty than my dishes dirty. So I have 1 tablespoon. I hope you guys had fun squeezing the tomatoes. I really did, even though I made a mess. Actually, not that bad. Is there some on the floor?
Not that I can see. We'll discover later.
We'll discover it later. Yeah. All right, so 2 tablespoons. And now the cauliflower, if you haven't checked on it on broil, you can check on it. See, you don't want it to be like black. Brown is the, we don't want to char it too much. Okay. That's about 3. So I add the lemon juice first. I'm just gonna add the rest. There was a little bit under, so I'm gonna just get as much juice out of this lemon as I can. Okay, great. And then, ooh, I need a whisk.
I think the cauliflower is done.
Okay, the cauliflower is done. Will you, oh, actually I can use a fork. I'll just use a fork. If you have a clean whisk, you can use a whisk. I'm gonna use a clean fork. And you're just going to mix it together. It's pretty thick, the sesame paste, but you wanna get the lemon juice incorporated. And it's still gonna be very pasty. It's gonna be like a thick, like very thick like this, like it's very globby, see? And if you wanted, you can add some garlic to this. I'm not going to because there's garlic other places. Ooh, got some tomato and my salt. And then I'll add about maybe like a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Is that what I said? I think so. Yep. So good. Okay, so like 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And we're going to keep whisking it. And then we are going to this. So it's like, kind of reminds me of like what marzipan would look like. I don't really like marzipan, but this is what it looks like right now. So it's like really thick. It's like almost like homemade Play-Doh. And then we're going to slowly add water to it. So I would measure out about a 1/4 cup of water and slowly add that in. So I'm going to add just a teeny bit in. And then mix it together. And then you can add more than a 1/4 cup to get your desired consistency, but I just go slowly because you never know. Like you don't want to it's harder to make it the consistency you want when you over add water. So you want to go slowly with the water. So mine is still very thick. It takes a lot of water sometimes. I think this will be. And it depends also how liquid you want. Like some people like their tahini to be really liquidy. For this drizzle, I want it to be a little bit more on the liquidy side, but some people have it like pretty thick too for if they're gonna top it on bread, have it with as more of like a dip for things. So now mine is about like a thick frosting. See, it's like a little floppy, but I'm gonna add a little bit more water. So I'm gonna add a tiny bit more water. This is making all kinds of sounds. I'll lower that.
So I'm adding my third round of water. And I think this will be my last one. So you can do this with a fork. You can also do this in a blender or a whisk, whatever's easier for you. Some people just love throwing things in blenders, and it's totally, it makes a lot of things much easier. I don't have a blender on my to-get list. All right, so now it's more of like it's a little liquidier, but I think I want a little more liquidy for the drizzle. So here's where I'm at. It looks kind of like the frosting we made. And it's like the consistency is sticking to the fork a lot. So I'm gonna add a teeny bit of water. So I think I'm at the 4th cup mark right now, but I'm gonna add a little bit more. So like I add like teeny amounts at a time, like a tablespoon at a time probably. Yeah, so this is where I want it. Maybe I want to add a little more. So a little tahini goes a long way. You can stretch it. And tahini is also great to make dressings, especially I made a really yummy non-dairy, non-anchovy Caesar dressing with tahini. It can like absorb a lot of flavor. So I'm gonna add about another teaspoon of water, tablespoon, sorry. I'm getting tahini all over myself. So now my tahini is gonna be more of a drizzle-like consistency. So we can put it over the cauliflower. Is the cauliflower out of the oven? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm gonna come close and show you more of what the tahini looks like. So when, yeah, so it's like coming out like this. So what does that look like? That looks like, oh my God, it reminds me, oh, I know what it looks like Frosty, like a Wendy's Frosty, softer when it gets a little melty. So, perfect. Okay, so that is the drizzle. And now, our shakshuka has been cooking for a while. Oh, Jess, will you bring back the actually, you know what? The measuring cup with the spout, so I can put the eggs in there. So if you have a small bowl, I recommend cracking your eggs into the bowl. So, oh, here, I want to show you. What? Or, yeah, that's fine. So I'm going to show you the cauliflower. Ooh, it looks really good. So it's crispy like this. Oopsie. And then we're just going to drizzle the tahini on top of it. Okay. Will you just a little bit? Yeah, perfect. Okay, so this shakshuka recipe is for 6 eggs. So you can have 1 egg a person, 2 eggs a person, whatever you want. I'm going to crack 1 egg at a time into here, and then I'm also going to turn up the heat a little bit. So it's been on simmering on low. I'm going to turn up the heat to like medium.
The gas is off.
Oh, the gas is off. There we go, medium. And then I'm going to make a little hole for my eggs. So this is, it's not quite making a hole here. Here's the hole. Can you see? Yeah, so I'm making a hole, and then I'm going to drop 1 egg in. Nice. So that's going to go in there. And then I'll do the same thing for the other eggs. And I'm just cracking 1 egg at a time into a vessel and then pouring it in. So then I make my second hole for my second egg. It's like you're making them little homes.
A little nest.
A little nest, exactly, for the eggs. Like a bird. Okay, so we're on egg number 3. And then that goes in. So what you can also do, if you have an oven safe pan, you can put it in the oven afterwards. And depending on how runny you like your eggs, you can cook it for anywhere between 7 and 10 minutes. Like some people like their eggs runny, like me. I'm a runny egg person. So I'm on my 4th egg. So it's kind of like you're poaching. You're basically poaching eggs in tomato sauce, which is delicious. And this is egg number 5. So you keep trying to build new nests for these eggs. So, if you wanted to blend it, you would blend the shakshuka obviously before adding the eggs. But I'm a rebel and I'm not blending it, so. Sorry, Mom. It's still gonna taste good. The blending's gonna happen in the belly. And then my final egg is going in the middle. This is a hard one. Boom. Okay. Some of them might fuse together. And then, so now they're cooking, and you can cover it with a lid. My lid isn't see-through. Maybe I'll get a see-through lid. Do you have a see-through lid that we can put on here? And here. So this looks really cool. It's like 6.
Yeah.
You're
You're right. Only question asker. How much heat should this be on right now when we cover it?
How much what?
How much heat on the oven?
On the oven?
Sorry, the stove. Should it be on we have it on a 2 or a 3?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, and then mine's going. And if you have a clear top, you can see like what's happening with the eggs. And this will be about, I want to say like between 4 and 7 minutes, depending on how you like them cooked. So I'm keeping a close eye on this while we finish up. So you can kind of forget about it, but don't really forget about it. Like you have it in the back of your head. And I'm just going to use this cutting board out of the way so I can show you how I'm going to dress the cauliflower. So I have my cauliflower, put it in a bowl, and it's nice and crispy. Very good. Oh, very yummy. I think mine needs to be lower. It's going crazy. It's okay. That's very yummy. I'm going to take some of my tahini drizzle. So if you want, you can blend some parsley in here and this will turn green. Looks very cool. Not going to do that right now in the interest of time. How are we doing on time, by the way? Oh, we're doing great. And then I'm just going to drizzle this on top, like in little strips. And then you can also have this as a side to have with the salad too. Like it could be good on the salad on the side. So I'm just put a little bit of tahini drizzle on top. It's a little gloopy. You can have, it could be more liquidy, but I like my tahini to taste like tahini, like very, very sesame-y. So there we have the drizzle. Ooh, you can also, I love garnishing things. So I just had an idea to garnish it with sesame seeds. And then you can garnish with parsley on top. Green always makes it look good. So that's how I'm doing that. And then additionally, you can squeeze more lemon on this when you are ready to eat. So I'm a lemon freak and a parsley freak. This is something to know about me, the way to my heart. So I also have black sesame seeds and I have white sesame seeds. I'm gonna just go wild and sprinkle both on it because I think it just looks cool. think I went overkill to left. Maybe I just have fun with it, and you can too. And Romy, I know you have a lot of white sesame seeds, so feel free to go wild. Okay. And then we're gonna put together the last bits of our salad. Okay, so my eggs are almost done. When you see that the top of the eggs are like turning, I don't like runny white, some people like runny white, but the top is gonna start turning a little bit opaque. And so we're almost there. I probably need 1 minute if you want a runny egg. Ooh, that's and then, so I have my salad here. This is unmixed salad with the chickpeas and everything. And what I'm gonna do is just drizzle some olive oil over it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shakes. Maybe a crack or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cracks of pepper. And then a little bit of salt. And, okay. So with the lemons, this is a room temperature lemon, so it'll have a lot of juice. I'm just gonna roll it on the table to just release even more juice. And then I'm gonna cut it in half. And squeeze some lemon, squeeze probably like half a lemon over it. Yeah, I'm just gonna, this is not smart. I'm gonna take the cutting board off. We don't need accident number 4 happening today. Okay, I am accident prone. But this gives people who are accident prone hope for cooking, because just because you're accident prone doesn't mean you can't. Kitchen can be a dangerous place. All right, so squeeze half the lemon, depending on how juicy it is. This one's medium juice level. And then okay, so I'm gonna turn the heat off on my shakshuka because the tops of the egg are opaque. So we're just gonna come show you. So you see how the tops of the egg are opaque. So I just turned off the heat, but I'm gonna keep, it's a little runny, I'm gonna keep the lid on it. So, but you can keep it on a little longer. Actually, I just touched it. That is very runny. I'm gonna keep it on longer. Just kidding. Like, just a little bit longer.
It's off.
It's off. 2 more minutes. 2-minute timer. So what people do sometimes is put this in the oven, and that way like it cooks all around. This particular top doesn't seal in the heat, but I like it because I can see what's happening. So we'll keep it on. Is it off? No. I'll keep it on for 2 more minutes, and then I'm just gonna give this salad a toss so that everything is loud. Nicely incorporated. Oh, it's so pretty. Lovely. So I have, so this is like just a really easy chopped salad, and you take it to the next level with the chickpea croutons because it adds something different. And now they get like a little bit soggy. They help dress the salad. It's a very fun idea. They're not like so crunchy, but they have that like nice outer crunch. So here, too much cayenne. All right, so I already pre-cubed some feta cheese to put on top. I'm gonna let my guests decide if they want feta or sans feta on shakshuka. I will put it. Okay, fine. Maybe I won't give them a choice. Okay. All right. So now, all right. I touch all my food. This is not something. Now I'm turning it off because the whites are cooked. So it looks, here, let's come bring a closer look. So this is what my shakshuka looks like right now. Just like some little cute eggs hanging out together. I wonder, yeah, perfect, okay, great. So I'm gonna leave this like this. The heat's off, and people are gonna come soon, so we'll eat. And then our cauliflower is here. This is what it looks like. I just drizzled the tahini over it and poured some parsley, and then you can see the black sesame seeds. The white sesame seeds are hard to see. I just went sesame seed crazy. Here's our lovely salad. And then I'm just gonna I'm gonna put together the rest of the Milky pudding. You can go check and see if yours has set. If it's not totally set, that's cool, because you still have a meal to eat before you eat them. So I think ours are pretty good. Maybe you can just bring one. And the whipped cream. So yay, so exciting. So here, so these are the cute little dishes that are from Israel actually, and I filled them with chocolate pudding. So the arrowroot starch thickens really quickly, and it becomes like more of a mousse. So that's why I added a little bit less to it. And then the whipped cream, use the heavy cream for the whipped cream. If you use the coconut cream, it will get a lot harder in the fridge. So I would recommend taking it out before you serve it. And then this is how I would serve Milky puddings. You just put a huge dollop on top and then eat it. I kind of want to eat dessert before dinner, but I'm going to restrain myself right now. And that is the end of the cooking class. I'm going to add my feta and the rest of the parsley to the shakshuka. So just crumble a little feta. I'll keep some on the side. And then you can have like, the feta gives like a nice salty bite, which I like. I love feta cheese. So I have some feta in there, and that'll get nice and melty. And then a nice heaping parsley in the middle. This looks like just like the restaurant that I went to in Israel. I won't tell them that. And then the rest of this parsley I'm just going to throw in the salad because I cut extra. So that's going to go in the salad. There we go. Thank you so much for joining me for Taste of Israel. I can't wait to see everything that you make. You can post in the Nona Gabby Facebook group. You can post on Instagram. Please tag me at the Nona Gabby and hashtag Nona Gabby so I can see everything. I can't wait to see what you do with these recipes, and if you make any modifications, how it comes out for you. And I want to hear about all the different things that you do with it. So enjoy the meal. I'm going to hang around for some questions, some other whatever comments, anything you want to tell me about your experience with the class. But I'm going to say the official goodbye to those of you who are watching the replay. And be sure, if you have any questions, those of you who are watching the replay, you can always email me at thenonagabby@gmail.com. And
You want to say hi?
Thank you, Gabby.
you're welcome.
This was so fun. I got a little drunk. Have you met Yo's boyfriend, Chris?
Hi, Chris.
I'm Brian.